Hello, hello. It's November 1st. Halloween is over for the most part. The candy was given away and the costumes are being packed up, and my neighbors are busy taking down their decorations for Halloween and putting up their Christmas decorations. But I'm still going to play with Halloween. I started to film this yesterday, and my battery went on the camera. So a lot of other things took place in too, but it doesn't really matter. I want to come back on, and for those of you who watched my video before this, I made this envelope, and when I tore the double-sided tape off of the envelope, I put a boo-boo here. And I wanted to show you some ways that you could cover that boo-boo and not trash your whole project. So I already did tape down, not tape, I glued down a section that had been torn off. But I still have this remaining part. Now if I could find my faux antique tape, cellophane tape, which I can't. It's got to be somewhere in one of my containers for Halloween, but I don't know where it's at. Anyway, I could have put that on there, and that would have probably covered it up beautifully. But no, I couldn't find the tape. So I'm gluing that piece down, and then I'm going to take a dauber and some Distress Oxide walnut, and I'm going to just try to color in that spot. Well, you could still see that it is a boo-boo. So what I've decided to do is I took a piece of cheesecloth that I've stained with some of the oxide sprays. I'm going to glue that right there. And I'm just going to use my regular art glitter glue. I still didn't get around to finding a softer bottle to use with my Fabri-Tac. So I'm just going to lay that there. I have to add a little bit more glue up in here. And then somewhere in this, here it is, I have one of the Tim Holtz the moth, and I'm going to put a moth on here. Now this should dry clear, so. And I think I'm going to have him flying into rather than away from that. And this is a little, I think needs a little darkening right there. Yeah. Now, I think that's fantastic. It covered up the tear and added another bit of interest to it. And on this side, I'm just going to take the scissors and trim some of that off. I've also picked out a few things here to keep working with this envelope, and I wasn't going to do it on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. This is a piece of scrap paper I found in my stash, and this leaf is actually a leaf from a cemetery. The name escapes me right now. I have it written down somewhere. I'm going to write the name of the cemetery here. But I was in Massachusetts just the beginning of this month, and we went into one of the cemeteries that has a lot of the really old tombstones. And well, none of the poor people who were hung and accused of being witches they're not buried there. They were eventually, from what I learned, the families were eventually allowed to claim the bodies and move them to whatever cemeteries that they chose to use. But there are I guess there are some judges or people who were involved with the trials are buried in this cemetery. But also with this cemetery, the unique thing about it, there's a stone wall completely around the perimeter of the cemetery, and there are stone benches that are built out, and I suppose they were meant for people to sit, although they were facing the outside of the cemetery, not the inside. Well, on these benches, they have people leave flowers, and they are dedicated, so to speak. There's little plaques above them that are engraved, I think, stone, and they are tributes to the people who were accused. And so people leave flowers behind there. I actually left one of these tags from Tracy's kit. I don't remember which one I took, but I left one of the tags on the bench. I don't know if someone would find it and pick it up and take it, and I don't have a name on the back. I didn't want any recognition for it. I actually was leaving these tags at various places while we were there in Massachusetts, at different shops, outside of some restaurants. I just left them lying around on tables in hopes that people would find them and have a little smile, get a little joy with them. Anyway, this is a leaf that I picked up in that cemetery. And I thought that what I wanted to do is I'm going to put that in here, in this envelope. And this will go in the journal, which I've started processing, but has a way to go. And that's how that'll be. And then I'm going to put these tags, not tags, these are sentiments, words for Halloween makes, or Gothic lettering. And my niece, Kristen April, made these. I believe she's going to be selling them in one of her shops. I will find out, and I'll put that information below my video. Anyway, I just thought these would be fun to add to this. Whispers in the Coffin. Kind of creepy. And then on this side, I thought I would put "We meet at midnight." I kind of like that. In Salem, Massachusetts, they have the town. I was there in the early 1970s, my husband and I, and it was not at all commercialized as it is today. Today, well, the Halloween weekend, this weekend, it is probably swamped there. It was very crowded while we were there at the beginning of the month. And, but anyway, it's so commercialized, but it's fun, and yet it also takes us to remembering these poor people who were accused by people who just didn't like them, so they were innocent. And the one that sticks with me is they have names on inside one of the museums. They have the names of the victims and their ages and when they were accused and hung. They didn't burn witches in Salem. You'd be surprised to hear they hung them. There was men and women, and there was one man who was pressed to death. He they laid him on a slab of stone, and it was I think it was outside the courthouse, and they kept putting more and more weights of stone on top of him, and they literally crushed the man, asking him, I guess, with each layer to, I guess, denounce that he was a witch or whatever, but obviously they didn't believe him, and the poor man died. But one of the there was a child. Most of the women were very young. There were some older ones, but there was one that was only 6 years old, and it just tugs at my heart. And so I think I'm going to put this child right here. Just as a tribute to the terrible events that took place there. So while it's a place where it's a lot of people dress up, you would not believe the number of witches you would see, people who are dressed like witches and other strange looking costumes. And you know, it's a place of fun now, but I think it's both a place to remember and learn about the history of what happened, and to also enjoy the season. And anyway, this how I repaired the envelope, and I probably will decorate this side as well, but I'm not going to do it on camera right now. What I wanted to show was that I'm starting my journal, and I have a black book cover that I gutted the book. It was a book I picked up, I believe, at the Dollar Tree. And anyway, I took the pages out of it. And what I'm going to do is, I have my signatures here, 3 signatures. I'm going to add this fabric to the center, and I will put I'll cut out a strip for the spine that I will sew the signatures fast to that, and then I will glue that in here. And I'm going to use this on the spine then too. And I'm going to leave this green because I thought, oh, the green, I think it's chartreuse. It goes well with, this is texture paste that's on here, and ink. And anyway, I had patched together many of the pieces from one of the digitals to create this page, and I love how it turned out. Then I'm going to take this piece of fabric, put it on the front. I will be adding corners. Just have a couple of these corners, just small corners to the edges here. And then I will probably put some kind of a pocket or something on here, but I'm going to add something to the front of this to kind of cover it up a little bit. I might even put a little bit of this webbing fabric, but I'm not sure. I'd be afraid you would catch your fingers in that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. Anyway, I will be continuing to decorate this, but that's all for today. Bye.